Everything here at SNS Smithing. Today we're going to keep continuing along with our coil spring hand tool series. So real quick, a few things we've already got done. As the series got put together, we made this nice little ovular flat cut, or hot cut. We made a nice little round punch here. In a previous video we made center punches. We also made chisels, slot punches, all that other kind of stuff. They're all in a hand tool video because none of them are made out of center punches, but the same techniques apply all the way through. So now that we're starting to gather up a decent amount, we've also made some knives and straight razors and stuff out of some coil springs. So today we're going to get into making some more intricate type punches. So we're going to make some eye punches for making animal heads, things like that, and a couple other more specialized ones down the road, because I plan to try to sculpt up a little gator out of some 3/8 plate. So we're going to forge that up, then we're going to make some specialty tools to forge, like scales and scoots and stuff like that. So it's going to be fun, guys. Let's hop into it. Today we're making a round punch, or eye punch. So guys, first things first is we're going to forge out a square taper into our bar, and then we're going to get it a little bigger than probably between quarter inch and 3/8 final size. Then we're going to stand her up, probably in the vise, and get a little ball punch made up. And for that, you don't need to have a ball punch specifically. You can have a center punch that you round over with a grinder, or even a piece of like little mild steel. You just want to forge in a rounded divot in there, like how we did the bottle opener before. So we're going to forge that straight down in, and then depending on the shape of the eye you want, you'll forge that or grind the outer edge of that to shape. The round divot gives you the eyeball, and then the outer shape cuts in that outer edge around the eye. So if you want it ovular, you're going to kind of forge it down slightly. If you want more like a sharp triangular eye, you'll grind it. So we'll just get the taper, then hop on to forging in our divot. Alright, so that'll about do it on our size for the taper before we put in our punch. So we did bulge out a bit, so we're just gonna kind of square our face back up again. I'm gonna clean up our taper a bit, switch over to rounding it up slightly, straighten up our hand a little bit before we start knocking in our divot. Alright, so we have our general tip shape set up here. A nice flat square taper. We're about 3/8 of an inch or so. So next thing we're going to do is I'm going to take a old center punch that I'm going to round over to make our little divot in there for our eye. I'll hop over the grinder. We'll show you how to do that real quick on a piece of scrap. Alright, so here, just for the sake of time, I'm going to turn this old little punch into a little round eye punch here. Well, a little round punch just for making our little eye divot. So you see it's sheared off there, so we're gonna round that up, get it about the dimension we want, and then we'll use it to punch in our divot. Alrighty, so we have our little ball end punch here. Just quickly grind it in. You can forge one of these. This is just a little old, like, square pin punch from a hardware store that sheared off. They're good for making these little tools, I guess, that you can just kind of fabricate real fast while you're working in a mid-project. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to lock our hot material in the vise and start forging in our divot. Try to get it center. Okay, so there you have it. We have our round little eye divot in there. I'm just gonna forge down our corners a little bit, just to round that up, make it easier whenever we go to grinding. We're gonna squish this out slightly on these two corners. That'll give us a more ovular eye. Alright guys, so there's our eye. It's a little kind of ovular, pretty much prepped up for grinding stage. So now let's... Alright, so we're fairly straight, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take her to the hot cut here, cut her off. So since these are really going to mostly just be on like detail work, before I do any rough grind and stuff, I'm just going to forge all this basically to shape, because most of this end is going to be ground to shape anyway. So I'm going to just harden it after we get everything finished on our striking end, and then we'll clean it up on the grinder once she's all done. Alrighty, so we got her cut off here. Got it to center. We're going to straighten that end of the bar out here. Forge out our striking end a little bit. And then we're going to clean her up on the grinder and heat treat it. Alright guys, so now just to help index with our line, those two corners that we smashed down, that's the top and bottom of our eye, I'm just going to create another flattened line across this. Just hold her on the flatter part of the anvil here, flatten that out. That'll give us extra little bit of length, and then we're going to taper out our tip, hop on to grinding. Alright guys, so we are fairly straight. We have our eye divot in there. We have our striking end tapered back a bit there to help prevent the mushrooming of it. So I'm going to shut down the forge, let this cool off. We'll grind up around our eye there to get it ready. We'll true up our striking end, clean up our flats a little bit, and then we're going to heat treat it. Alright guys, so she's all cooled off. We got her striking end there. We have our eye inset there, so we're just going to clean up our profile overall, get right around where our eye is narrowed down so that way it's more like a cutting edge almost, just right around here, and then trim up our striking end, and then we'll heat treat it, and then shine up this back edge one more time, sharpen her up, and then she'll be ready to test on some scrap. Alrighty guys, so we have our eye punch roughly ground up there. You can kind of see the shape, that teardroppy kind of elongated ovular shape on our end. We have our flats trued up. We didn't touch these. I like these for grip, leaving the kind of hammer marky round edges here. Helps grip it, our tapered end. Keeps hammer away from our hand and also helps send the force straight into the tip. The flats help us be able to hold them in pliers or tongs if we need to. So I like that kind of handle shape. So next thing we're going to do is just harden this. So let's get at it, guys. Alrighty guys, so like we said before, we have our rough grind done. You can see our little hole there. So the heat treat procedure for this, that way we don't kind of get too repetitive on our processes. On this one, we're not going to do a differential hardening like we normally do. We're kind of going to. I'm going to quench off our end, give it a second back here to kind of cool off a little bit, quench it off in the oil too. I'm going to take it, throw our strike end back into the forge, let this end heat up. This will get nice red hot, and watch our temper colors come into our tip here. We'll wait for that nice straw color around here, and then we'll take it out, lock in this end, and then let that kind of sit in the oil while she cools off. And then once it gets kind of back down to kind of touchable, we cool her off again and then lock it in, and then she'll be ready to test out. Alrighty, so we have her hardened. I took it to the belt grinder here and I buffed off some of that oil residue, a little bit of scale just so I can see the bare metal. We're going to throw our striking end into the forge, throw her into the forge, let this get as warm as it wants to, and then it'll cool off slowly. And we're just going to wait for our colors to run up to our tip here. So you can see we have our colors starting to run. Peacock up here, blue, bronze, and our straw starting to creep up to our tip a little bit. So once that straw is all the way up, nice solid at the tip, then I'm going to quench her off and lock that in. Right like that, into the oil. Alrighty guys, she's all heat treated, ready to go. Yeah, you guys can see that gold color all around the tip there. So, nice, we have our eye socket there. We got a little bit of crud in there from the quench, so I'll take a little bit of a little pin or a little baby drill bit or something, clean that out just to scrape out the, like this. Just kind of scrape out some of that gunk. Okay, that's a bit better. Now we have our hole. So, I got a piece of scrap, I'm sure you guys saw in the porch whenever we were hardening, tempering this. Just heating up is that same piece of rebar that we flattened out with the new hammer video, and then that we punched the slug out with our round punch that we made. So, might as well throw an eye or two on it, and just keep chucking away that little piece of rebar until we're through our series for a bit. Alright, so we're going to go ahead, throw that in, throw it down on the anvil, test this out. So guys, you see our eye punch works pretty good there. There's our hole from our round punch. I did forge this out real quick off camera to get a little bit more material to throw on the eyes, but we're starting to make a little dude out of our tools here. So, looks pretty good. The one kind of got a little bit of a double stamp on it there, but the other one turned out nice and clean. I think these will work pretty good. So, alright guys, so there is our punch forged up, our striking end, then our little eye shape there. So again, the midsection on this is a little warm still, but there's our little dude that we used for our punch on. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know some other coil spring hand tool projects you want to do in this series or see. It doesn't have to just be exclusively punches, chisels. There's other types of hand tools you'd like to see. We can try to make them. So guys, remember, like, share, comment, and subscribe as always. Forge your fate. See you on the next one.